Hello, welcome to another episode with me, Auntie Lara. And this week I'm going to be, do not switch off, talking about compound interest. A question asked by Anne from St Albans. First of all, though, I'm going to tackle very quickly a question that was asked by Darren of Hemel Hempstead. He wants to know if it's okay to take your children to school while you're dressed in your pyjamas. Darren, it's a very simple thing. If the child that you're taking to school has had a good night's sleep, a good breakfast, they're in their school uniform with their books and ready to learn, then you are a champion, because that's giving your child everything they need to go to school. If you're still in your pyjamas, who cares? You're doing a cracking job at being a parent. But Darren, you are a gas man, so please don't wear it to work. Anyway, enough of that, and well done to all you parents out there who are managing to get your children to school ready to learn, because I know it can be a lot of fun in the mornings. But let's get on with compound interest. My children are all grown up now, so I can describe this with the use of far too much wine in the afternoon. So Anne, compound interest. It's a very straightforward idea. It means that as you're paying in or taking out of an account, we'll cover taking out later, but as you're paying into an account that you are making interest upon, when your interest is paid to you, it goes into the big pot, so that next time when you have an interest paid on your account, it takes that into account too. I've used the word account quite a lot there, but I'm going to keep on through because it's one of the problems, isn't it, when you're talking about banks and things like that, the word account comes up a lot. Anyway, for instance, you invest £1,000 into a compound interest scheme and £1,000 into a scheme that only pays you interest on your initial investment amount. So £1,000 in one, £1,000 in another. At the end of year one, if you were paid 10% and you were only paid once in the year, and I'm going to put the big scary equation on screen now. That looks terrifying, but don't worry, it's actually very straightforward. If you were, at the end of the first year, to look at that, they would both look exactly the same, because they would have £1,100, or 1,100 euros if you happen to live in France like I do. However, in the standard scheme that was looking at taking interest only on the initial investment, the next year you'd get another £100 interest, and the next year another £100 interest, leaving you with a total over 3 years of £1,300. However, in the compound interest scheme, at the end of the first year, that £100 goes into your main investment account, so the next time you're paid interest on it, it takes that into account too, and the next time it all makes your pot bigger, so the interest on your pot grows bigger too. It's a brilliant idea, and by the end of that 3 years you're going to have 1,331. So essentially you've made 30 quid, which is great, isn't it? Now, that's quite a boring way of explaining it, so instead I'm going to do this with wine. This is 125 millilitres of wine. We're all amazed I've been able to leave it here that long. This is a standard measure, not for me, but it's a standard measure. Now, if I were to put this into an interest account over 3 years, that was a standard interest, therefore only paying me interest on my initial investment, at the end of those 3 years, I would get my initial investment back, plus the interest. It's barely a sip. However, let's say I put my 125 ml of wine into a compound interest savings. Well, there's my initial investment, and there's my interest. Got those two glasses the wrong way around, didn't I? But essentially, it's not much less than I originally put in. I end up with 2 drinks instead of a drink and a sip, or just my original drink. So compound interest is a really great thing. Unless you're paying compound interest on a loan, this was hardly worth having, was it? Compound interest on a loan is a very different thing. Now, I'm going to talk about compound interest on a payday loan, and I'm going to talk about it over 2 years. Now, I know compound interest on a payday loan doesn't really exist in the same way, because payday loans are designed to be very, very short term. However, they are, even though they're capped now and they're far, far better than they used to be, let me tell you what's going to happen. I am going to borrow 125 mils of wine. How much am I going to owe at the end of the first year? Well, at the end of the first year of compound interest on a standard payday loan, which is at 1,500 APR equivalent, paid times throughout that year, I'm going to have this much wine owing. I'm going to owe this much wine, and that's as much wine as I'm going to need a straw to get to the bottom of. But seriously, that is nothing, because by the end of year 2, I would owe as much wine as it takes the average French person to drink in 10 years. Now, I made a big proviso at the beginning, and I'm going to make it again. That is not what these loans are made for, and so it's not always a totally fair comparison. But what I would say, compound interest on an investment account, great. Compound interest on a loan, not so much. Check out the small print, and remember, maths is your friend.